In this video, we're going to talk about demystifying Bloom's taxonomy, or I'm going to hopefully set you on the path toward understanding your own metacognition, or the secrets to effectively tackling exam questions. We are going to cover the following topics in this presentation. What is Bloom's taxonomy, or you may be thinking, Bloom's who? And how to use Bloom's taxonomy to effectively study, and in effectively answering exam questions. Now, I have learning objectives for you. So in this video presentation, hopefully I will help you begin to understand how you yourself learn. And by learning that, we should be able to help you study more effectively, not only for this class, but for other classes. Hopefully we'll be able to help you show effectively what you have learned on exams. Actually, a better way to phrase that would probably help you show on exams what you've learned. So first, let's take a look at what we mean by Bloom's taxonomy. Bloom was a researcher who was interested in metacognition. Metacognition, using Teresa's definition, is understanding your own thought processes. And we use that term to describe how we learn. Let's take a look at the various levels of Bloom's taxonomy. When you're first learning a new topic, you have to remember. That's the first thing that you have to do. From there, we move to understanding, or another way to phrase it is comprehension. Then you apply what you've learned. You can analyze situations based on what you've learned. You can synthesize what you've learned, putting different parts together with other things that you've learned. And at the very top is create new things or do an evaluation of a situation. As you can tell, we move from very basic up to the pinnacle. Let me give you an example of how this would work. Let's say I'm learning Spanish. Well, I've got to memorize the vocabulary. And when I'm first memorizing vocabulary, I memorize the vocabulary with the textbook definition. In other words, it's memorization and just spitting out the definition on an exam. Then I move to comprehension. I begin to understand when that term is used in similar situations, but aren't exact textbook. Then I can apply it. I can go talk to people in Spanish. I can analyze what's said to me in Spanish or what I say in Spanish because I start to learn sayings, idioms, euphemisms, things that we say when we mean something entirely different. I can synthesize and create. Suppose I write a paper in Spanish or I write a novel in Spanish. All of that goes into learning the information. We instructors set up exams to measure where you are on Bloom's taxonomy. In beginning level classes, we tend to focus on remembering and comprehension, and we get up into applying and analyzing. When you get to the end of your 4-year major, they will be asking you to do almost exclusively applying, analyzing, synthesizing, create, and evaluation. So let me tell you how I'm helping you achieve these various levels of metacognition. So topic applications, strictly remembering and understanding and comprehension. I'm asking you to take the information, rearrange it, show me that you understand it beyond the level of the textbook. Now, for the comprehension quizzes and exams, those are pretty much understand, comprehend, remember, with occasionally rising toward analyzing and applying. Now, we have 3 presentations that we're going to be doing in this class, and presentations are exclusively analyzing and applying. So all of these are helping you get a grasp at the foundation of the information so that you can be ready to do the presentations. But you say, we also have exams. So how do you effectively study now that you understand Bloom's taxonomy? And by the way, you can use this in every course you take. So if you know that you're going to be doing application and analysis questions on an exam, or you're going to be doing this on a presentation, you look for these sorts of things in individual activities. So for the presentations, I'm going to ask you, What would happen if you increase or decrease a component in the system? Or what would happen if you alter the activity of a component in the system? We're going to be taking a look at this as it applies to antibiotic use. We're going to be taking a look at this as it applies to diet and how it affects the microbiome. You can also graph this biological process or create scenarios that change the shape or slope of the graph. All of this you can do in application. Now for analysis, we're going to be analyzing the situation and then identifying assumptions and principles of the argument. One of the learning objectives for this course, actually several of them, is to analyze our culture versus other cultures around the globe. And generally speaking, I'm going to ask you to pick one to compare yourself to, but you're going to be reading other people's presentations. So you're going to get your feet wet in several different cultures. All of that is analysis. Now, if you were studying for an exam, you would want to do the same thing if you knew there were going to be application or analysis questions on the exam. Now, in other classes, when you're doing group activities, if you're just doing knowledge and comprehension, you want to be up here. Same thing down here. Let's take a look at specific examples of exam questions that you may or may not get on the upcoming exam or later exams. And I'll kind of walk you through how to identify which level of Bloom's taxonomy it is and how to go about answering those exam questions. So the first one, if I asked you a question that was a prokaryote is, and then I listed, say, 4 or 5 answer options, that would be a remembering, possibly an understanding. You have to go through and pick the proper definition. That just shows whether you remember what a prokaryote is. Now, for this one, if you don't remember what a prokaryote is, don't waste time on this question. Go on. You may remember later what a prokaryote is, or you may read a question that gives you the answer to what a prokaryote is. It all is about remembering, and if you don't remember, there's no point in struggling with the question right then. Now, here's another one. You isolate a new microbe from human feces. What characteristics would you expect this microbe to have? This could be either an essay question, or once again, I could be listing answer options in a multiple choice. Now, you're probably going, I don't remember isolating new microbes from human feces. Well, that's because this is this is a application question. You have to take what you know and apply it to a new situation. So first off, I don't tell you what kind of microbe it is. I don't tell you if it's a bacterium, a fungi, or a virus, or whatever. So what you have to do to apply it to this new situation is to think about the list of the microbes that we're studying this semester. How many of them are bacteria? How many of them are fungi? How many are viruses? How many of them are worms/animals? So if I had to guess, what is a new microbe most likely going to be? It's most likely going to be a bacterium, so you would list the characteristics or pick the characteristics of a prokaryote, specifically a bacterium. See how that works? You don't want to spend a whole lot of time trying to remember where in the book you read about this because it's not there. It's a new situation. This one, a patient has symptoms of a gram-negative septicemia. Which of the following treatments would be best to use? And we'll say that I list 2 or 3. This one is an analysis question because I'm asking you to analyze treatments for this particular situation and determine which one would be best. And I probably will give you treatments that may have been in the textbook, maybe they're not. Once again, because this is higher on Bloom's level of taxonomy, it's not going to be a situation that you've experienced before. In other words, it's probably not going to be in the textbook. So hopefully that helps you not only in this class, but in all of your classes, have a better approach to answering questions. In summary, learning has many levels of accomplishment and complexity, and we call this metacognition, being aware of how you're thinking and what complexity you're thinking at. Exam questions are designed to measure these levels. and I would say assignments and presentations. Knowing how to study for the various Bloom's levels will aid you in learning and ability to do well on exams, and I would also toss in your presentations. And being able to identify the Bloom's level of an exam question will help you answer that question. So hopefully this helps you learn how to learn and do well on our upcoming exams. Hopefully this takes some of the stress out. And hopefully this will also help you with upcoming presentations in this course. And if you have any questions, feel free to get a hold of me. I'm happy to answer questions.